What up, everybody? It's Ponter here, and today we've got a special video. This is a Ponter map review, and we're reviewing Beach Assault, which is a custom-made map. I don't know when it was made or who made it. I don't know if anyone's ever played it before, but this is Beach Assault, and really, I just play it. It's on a bot. This is not a proper game. This is a bot game that I was playing just recently, and House B happened to join as well, and we just played it out together. And I wanted to play kind of all these new maps, and just to see what they were like and see if there's anything interesting. And it was kind of interesting, and right now I want to basically quantify a few categories of just to have a basic map review while we watch me kill bots. So first things first, we gotta talk about aesthetics, because aesthetics are obviously the most important thing when it comes to maps. So the color scheme, it kind of reminds me of Riviera. You know, it looks pretty similar to that. You've got this kind of tropical water vibe going with the palm trees. There's a few graphical glitches. So like the roads look normal here, but then I zoom out, it looks like dunes. Like the same sand over here is in the town. Like, well, it's kind of fucky, and the fields look kind of weird. Like the lines they drew along just doesn't look the greatest. The same thing like over here, like doesn't look the greatest. And like this wonky ass road, like imagine driving into your just a 90-degree turn right there to your mansion or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, there's some aesthetics problems overall. Like it's not mind-blowing, and I think this is all the fan-made or community-made maps, even though I say I like the looks of this map, like I'll talk about what I actually like about it later, but like the fan-made maps just have like this kind of uncanny valley, like really look artificial compared to some of the other maps that the devs made, and this one definitely has some issues. So for aesthetics, I'm ranking it in my ranking method. Like ultimately it's gonna be based on 40 points. So like 4 categories, 10 out of 10 each. And so the aesthetics, it's got a 4. Oh no, a 5, just because it's not entirely ugly. But yeah, so aesthetics, that's it. The next thing is the gameplay itself. Like how does this game actually unfold on the map? So certain maps have different kind of gameplay impacts. Like a game on Seaside is going to play a lot differently than a game on Farmland, or a game on Power Plant is going to play a lot differently than a game on Silo. So you know there's a variety of gameplay opportunities in Wick, and this one, like I'm kind of like, I don't like playing inf, so I don't like inf maps that much, but I do appreciate certain things with inf, like the opportunity to cap triple pointers. And right away I can see this one you might have some good opportunities for interesting caps, because you've got these town pointers. Like this one, this is a really split up point, so like infant buildings could be popping out and popping in to cap these. Same thing over here, like inf would be just like running around here nonstop, and I can also see this being a frustrating point to cap for Red 4 or USSR side, just because these points are so far away. And then you've got this up here, which is gonna be its own little battle for the whole game. Like infantry players will just be having a field day. Probably the big thing will be getting reg inf and ATs into these forests to cut off reinforcements, and then dropping up here. Although I could see like I don't know. I don't know if it would ever make sense to send a whole armor support thing up here, but you definitely want to send a few armor support units up here as well. And then this big ass cliff kind of makes things interesting for air. As an air player, you can use this to like gain elevation. Like if I'm going here, I could click here, my choppers would lift up, and so that's kind of interesting. You can also, I don't know if it's, I would have to test this, but you could shoot from down here maybe. And right here, I'm team killing because this guy shot one of my choppers, I suspect. But I keep repairing it. What a dumb. That's dumb. But yeah, so another, like, I like good open spaces where you could have a good armor fight. So you could probably have a decent armor support could sit up here, you know, burn these woods and blow up these buildings, and then there could be a good scrap between armor and support, like USSR holding this position. You know, you set up some AA here and here in a line. You have like a heavy over here, a heavy up here, maybe a heavy here, and then a light up here. Like that's what, and then you kind of have a line of support like this as well. And then inf just chopping it up and down. Like this is a double inf map for sure. Like there's just so much cover, at least until this town gets wiped out. So, man, people like double inf maps. I mean, depending on like how your tolerance for pain, and if you have a good inf player and whatnot. So yeah, there are some issues. Like this is a big thing. Like these two CPs are kind of like overlapping in my opinion. Like they're really close. Like you don't see that a lot on the proper maps, like the OG maps. Like they try to spread out the CPs, and this one on the fan made maps I see a lot of very close together CPs, and that's just annoying. Like one fuel air bomb is gonna like impact the potential to cap like 5 points worth of stuff. And the other thing is the spawns. So you know, here's me just killing shit in the spawns, but notice the spawns, like especially it's brutal on the USSR. There's just no cover at all, and there's very little cover here, but there is some trees. But like notice the trees are already burned to shit, and like once the game gets going, like you're not gonna have any cover, and that's really a detriment. It's not a balance problem. It's like whatever team is strong is gonna take this town, and like you can kind of see it happening here with the bots, but they're not smart enough to really do this properly. But like, I guess the spawn is really close. But if you just imagine getting ATs and reg inf into these buildings, putting tanks here, ATs here, and just spawn raping, and there's nothing like, and then you could do vice versa on the other side. Like the spawn raping would probably be really real on this, and you never really want to have a map that makes it that easy to do that. So that's a knock on the gameplay side. So I'm gonna like knock it down. It's like a 4 out of 10 in terms of gameplay, although I'd have to test it out. Like I don't know exactly where the support and armor would play together, but just looking at it, it's gonna be an infest, and then it's kind of like a Riviera type situation where it's an infest in the beginning, and then everything gets burned, and then it's just a shit show after. It even looks like Riviera a little bit. So yeah, 4 out of 10. The next thing is the balance, and this one you kind of have to like do the math. So like, there's a total of 2, 4, 6. There's 12 points up for grabs, right? And then you got to think of your equilibrium. It's probably like for USSR is easily going to get 4 here, and NATO is easily going to get 2, and then these triple pointers are going to be contested. So right off the bat I would say USSR kind of has a bit of an advantage, just because like, but then if you think of it, this lighthouse is a kind of a liability because it's far away from the action. Like if I'm USSR and I combo drop gas station, like it's right in their backyard. Like the air player is either going to be here or here, so he can easily collapse back and clear gas. Compared to lighthouse, like the air player is going to be here or here, and now they have to run all the way to the lighthouse to clear drops. Like, that's kind of annoying. But I think the big thing is this church triple pointer. Like, assuming this is going to be like fought over nonstop and like switching sides all the time, whoever controls the church is going to win the game, I think. And because these points are so fucking close, like, if you control the church, you're probably going to be able to contest this. So, like, who's going to easily control the church? And I'm saying the NATO has a much easier time controlling church, because like, these are like in their, I don't know, okay, that's where they start, right? Like, that's really fucking close to their spawn. Like, this is really close to the NATO spawn, or the USSR spawn, so they kind of have an advantage there. But I rather have, like, you know, courtside seats to the triple pointer, because like, all you have to do is have an infant snag this, and like, you can milk a team nonstop. So yeah, and I don't know how this balance would work out. You'd have to like test it out and see who's like, who can get up there faster. Like, you kind of have to time it out. Like, have two competent teams race for it and see who can cap it first. Because there could be some balance liabilities there, but I'm too lazy to test that shit. So yeah, I would say in balance wise, just because of these wonky ass caps, and again, and it's compounded by the spawn rape ability of it, I would say it's like a 5 out of 10 on balance, but I haven't really tested it out. That's just like my eyeball assumption. It could be a little better on balance, and balance isn't really a big deal. Like, map balance, in my opinion, is overrated. Like, if you have one noob on your team, and it doesn't matter if you're on like the most OP broken map. So yeah, take it for what it is. And the final category we're going to talk about is gimmicks. And this map, it doesn't have any gimmicks, in my opinion. Like, it's got a really big cliff. I guess that's kind of gimmicky and weird, but it's not gimmicky. It doesn't have like island CPs or like forest surrounded CPs or other dumb shit. So in my books, like, no gimmicks is the best thing. So it's a 10 out of 10 on gimmicks. So your total score, if you're keeping count on this map, is 24, if my math is right, out of 40. So that's about a 6. Was it like a 60%? 60%. You know, what is that, like a C? And I would say this map is kind of like a C. I will just speed it up. The funny thing is, like, House B and I lose against the bots, and I don't really care at this point because I want to play ranked. These people are bugging me to play ranked. I think people are bugging me to play ranked while I'm making this video too. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. Like, I'll show you the worst ones later. Like, those will be funny. Like, this one's like passable. I don't know if I would really want to play on it. I think I'd rather play like Farmland or Riviera than this. But like, look at the town just utterly destroyed. That looks pretty cool. That looks like some Stalingrad shit. But yeah, look, like, we're getting spawn raped by bots pretty much. Like, that's not that good. So yeah, that's. Man, I must have tried a little hard because I was doing drops. But yeah, that's Beach Assault. Hopefully we'll get some more map reviews, and you know, even though I slag these, it would be interesting to play them, like, because I don't know how they would actually play, especially some of the better ones. Yeah, so keep an eye out. Let me know what maps you want me to do next, and yeah, take it easy.